Hey there once again, guys. This is the old faithful webcam pointing towards the Upper Geyser Basin at Yellowstone. Remember, Norris is nowhere near this area, and I'm hoping they do put in a new webcam at Norris pointed towards Steamboat Geyser. Steamboat Geyser has gotten almost as popular as Old Faithful, so I think a camera would be worth it. I will try to make this video quick since I actually was not planning on doing one today. So my name is Ferraiuolo, and I hope you're having some great Christmas fun with your family. I'm excited to see my two kids open the presents, and my daughter is finally old enough to be in awe of Christmas things that us adults have long forgotten. Remember, Christmas is supposed to be the most joyous time of year. It is interesting how people correlate that to the birth of Jesus Christ. His birth, death, and resurrection should make us extremely happy. After all, God could have just let us rot down here, but he didn't. And by the way, why are people stealing packages? I have heard there are so many people right now stealing packages all over the country. Just why? During Christmas especially. Just why? Oh my God. I scratch my head wondering why would people do that during Christmas? Talk about bah humbug. So today there has been some interesting activity. There was a magnitude 7.4 near Russia and Alaska. There was a small earthquake under Mount Hood, and a magnitude 3.1 on the Yellowstone boundary near West Yellowstone. However, the 3.1 at Yellowstone did occur west of Hebgen Lake and was very far beyond the caldera boundary and appears to have occurred just outside the national park line. Now, the 7.4 that occurred in Russia seems to have been the fourth magnitude 7 and above earthquake to strike the world in less than a month. It almost seems like the world is seeing a magnitude 7 to 7.5 about once a week or so. So, what's the next location that'll be hit in another week? I don't know. Here's earthquake.usgs.gov. Now we can see the 3.1 right here. I'll get to that in just a minute. So here we have the 7.4. Let me scoot this over just real quick. Notice it was near the Aleutian Islands of Alaska, right here in Russia. So it's a 7.4 and 9.6 kilometers in depth. Let's check out the event page just real quick. 7.4 near Nikolskoye, Russia. Only 4 people felt it. It wasn't that deep. It was at 9.6 kilometers in depth, pretty shallow, but probably only 4 people reported feeling it. Remember, these are just the reports. Probably many more people did feel it. But it is kind of a remote area where it did hit. And they say right here, the December 20th, 2018 magnitude 7.4 earthquake east of Kamchatka Peninsula, Russia, occurred as the result of oblique slip faulting in the northern Pacific Ocean near the junction of the Kursk, Kamchatka, and Alaska-Aleutian oceanic trenches. Focal mechanism solutions indicate slip occurred on a steeply dipping fault striking to the southeast or on a steeply dipping fault striking northeast. At the location of this earthquake, the Pacific plate moves towards the northwest with respect to the North American plate at a rate of about 76 millimeters per year, translating past the North American plate at the Alaska-Aleutian Trench immediately south of this event. The location, depth, and focal mechanism solution indicate this earthquake likely occurred as the result of interplate faulting along this plate boundary structure or on a related fault taking up motion between these two plates. The region surrounding today's earthquake is an active plate boundary and regularly experiences moderate to large earthquakes. 21 other earthquakes of magnitude 6.5 or greater have occurred within 250 kilometers of this event over the past century. Many of these occurred within the Kuril-Kamchatka subduction zone to the west of today's earthquake. The largest nearby historic event in the Alaska-Aleutian Island system was a magnitude 7.0 earthquake to the east of today's event in August 1925. A magnitude 6.7 event occurred to the northeast of today's earthquake in December 2003. Events in this region are unlikely to cause earthquake-related damage due to their remote location far from populations. So that's very interesting. Now, remember what we do to find the closest seismic station. We go to origin. Let's check this out real quick. Let's go to phases. So here we are at phases. Now click arrival time. Click down. So this is the closest arrival time. The soonest arrival time out of all the stations is IU PET BHZ00. So that is the station we will gain data from. Let's go up here. It was within this time range, so I already have the time range set. So let's see, IU is the network code, PET is the station code, 00, and BHZ. And then you just click this link, and it is currently downloading. But before I look at the data real quick, let's go back to the earthquake map. I just want to show you two other events that occurred right down here. Let me show you this. It was a 1.1, 22 kilometers east of Mount Hood Village, Oregon, at 0.7 kilometers in depth, so kind of shallow. Let's see, origin. Nope, do not want to do that. Never mind, I forgot I want to go to interactive map. Look where this earthquake occurred. Mount Hood does see some earthquakes here and there, but this one occurred directly under the cone. So it probably occurred right inside the cone itself. Right inside. It's like right on the tip, guys, right at the top. So that's very interesting, and I'll show the data for that in just a minute, but let's go back real quick. There's something else I also wanted to show you. There was a magnitude, let me pull this over. There was a magnitude 3.1 earthquake near West Yellowstone, Montana, which is in northwest Yellowstone. But this earthquake seems to have occurred beyond the park boundary, just a little bit. It was 17.1 kilometers in depth, so a little deeper than what we usually see for the Yellowstone area. Now let's look at this. One person reported feeling it. Let's see where that person was. Let's see here real quick. Come on, buddy. Let's see. Did you feel responsible kilometer? I am not seeing it. Do you guys see it? Because I am not seeing it right now. Let me zoom out. Yeah, I'm not seeing... What? All the way up here in Idaho. Wow. See, here's Yellowstone. All the way up here in Idaho, they say they felt it 430 kilometers away. Yeah, that's very weird. And as you can see right here, let me zoom in one more time. Here's Yellowstone Lake right here. Here's Hebgen Lake, Shoshone Lake. This is the caldera boundary. The magma chamber is right under here in this area. The national park boundary goes to right about here, I believe, so it is beyond the boundary. Here we are in the seismic program Swarm, so we have already downloaded the data for the magnitude 7.0, or 7.4, excuse me, in Russia. I also downloaded the data for the 1.1, I think it was a 1.1, right, at Mount Hood, and also the 3.1 in Yellowstone. Let's open file in Swarm. So I lied, guys. I'm sorry. I already downloaded the data for the 7.4, but I actually still got to do the one for Mount Hood, EHZ, I believe that is it right there, Palm. Yes, that is. Okay, we got that downloading. Now let's do WY MCID 01 EHZ, and then we'll do YMC for Maple Creek, YMC 01 EHZ. Download that as well. And that should download. Okay, so we are back here at Swarm. Let's see if this works one more time. I hope there's no more mistakes. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Let's open these far and see where it goes. Come on, buddy. There we go. Okay, first I want to show the 7.0 in Russia, which was seen right here at the closest seismic station. Give me 1 second. So let's take a look at this 7.4 earthquake. Let's zoom out. Whoa. Very interesting signals. Look at that, guys. Look at that. Let's look at the spectrogram real quick. Wow. Very dominant low frequencies. Let's see what the strongest frequency is with no filters on. Persistor rescale off. Let's check it out. The dominant frequency for this, even though this station was kind of far away, yes. But still, these are some dominant low frequencies. Look at this. This is 0.1 hertz right here. 0.09, 0.08, 0.07. So right about there would be 0.074 hertz. That's very, very low. Now real quick, let us add a high pass filter of 0.8 hertz just real quick. And we'll just look at this. Yeah, it did have some dominant low frequencies, guys. That's very interesting. Whoops. And then let's turn log power back on for the spectrogram. Yep, and did have a few aftershocks afterwards. You can see some of the aftershocks. Multiple aftershocks, actually. Not too big, though, but the 7.0 was 7.4, excuse me, was quite large. Yeah, so that is pretty interesting, guys. Let's zoom in just a little bit. Zoom in on the P wave just real quick. Okay, so we got that. That's done. I'm not seeing anything else that's very interesting around this area. That's very interesting, huh? Seeing some low frequency activity down here. Look at that. But it's pretty low. A little bit less than 1 hertz, so I don't know what that could be. But let's real quick go to MCID. Go forward and go up. And persistent rescale off. There we go. Now, real quick, here's the 3.1 that occurred near West Yellowstone. Now, MCID is far south, but we can still get a good reading. Very interesting earthquake. Lasted quite a while. Mid-range frequencies, probably because it is far away, but we will check at the closest seismic station in just a second. Don't know what that is right there. Whoa. I'll check that out later. I don't know what that is. That's definitely, I got some dominant low frequencies. But we do see here is the 7.4 from Russia. Right here on MCID. 30,000 amplitude count, even though it occurred in Russia. Pretty strong earthquake, guys. I believe this was an aftershock right here. And another aftershock right here. And, yep, so there's a 3.1. Now, let's real quick go back. Open Palm, EHZ, This will show the magnitude 1.1 that occurred underneath Mount Hood. I want to just check real quick the exact time of the 1.1. See, 1.1, 0.7 kilometers in depth at 538 UTC. 538 UTC. Okay, so this is it right here. Normal VT earthquake. Just one lonely, normal volcano-tectonic earthquake. Nothing too special about it. No dominant low frequencies. It's got high frequencies up the yin-yang, pretty much. Let's log power log frequency off. Oh yeah, it's got some high frequencies, guys. So, just a normal VT quake right there at Mount Hood, but doesn't happen too often, so it's very interesting nonetheless. Let's turn persistent rescale off. Not seeing any low fruit. Hold on a second. I was going to say we're not seeing any low frequency background tremor, but what is that? It's a little too high of a frequency for me. I don't know. There is some interesting stuff going on in the background, but it doesn't look too major. Here, let me scoot this down real quick. What is this stuff right here? No, that's got high frequencies. Okay. Not seeing any harmonic or volcanic tremor, which is a very good sign. I always look out for that at volcanoes whenever seismicity increases. That's like the #1 thing I always look out for. Yeah, that's definitely some type of surface noise right there. I don't know what, but what is this? Look at that. It's got high frequencies, yes, but very odd. I don't know. And here's probably another earthquake, a very, very, very tiny one. So that's it for Mount Hood. Mount Hood did see just one earthquake today, so that's very interesting. Now, let's click out of this. Excuse me. Pan this up. YMC. Okay, now let me turn persistent rescale off. Okay. So before the 3.1 occurred, we did have a few tiny microquakes going to about 6,000 amplitude count maximum. Very tiny. Probably around 1.0 max. Here's another one that's around 1.0 max. And then let's scoot forward. So YMC is most likely the closest seismic station to this event, except I think QLMT in the MB network, in the MTech network, I believe that one was a little bit closer, but I like YMC, so I'm just going to use YMC. Let's look at the P wave. Almost an instant downwards dipping P wave. Lasted a good amount of time. Let me pan this down, scooch it down just a little bit. Look at the spectrogram. The frequencies are a little bit higher. Let's change the spectrogram from 25 Hertz max to 55 Hertz. Check that out. Remember, spectrograms always record frequency vertically, time period horizontally, and the color range you see is power. Are you sure that's power, Ben? Are you sure? Yes, I am sure. Check this out. Notice how it says 20 power range for the spectrogram options. Let me do 80. Watch how it changes. Look at that. Notice that? Now let's go and just do 10 instead of 20. Now it looks a little bit stronger, doesn't it? So you can manipulate these spectrograms any way you want, guys. You can even do 5 for the window size, and it'll make it look like that, which I don't like doing, but some people do that. And you can do a minimum frequency and maximum frequency range. Check this out. Let's do a minimum frequency range of 10. Notice how the first frequency you see is 10, but I don't like doing that. I always like this set to 0. And I usually like this set to 25. So remember, this is so much better than just looking at the online charts and being like, what could that be? Well, you can find out what it could be by using these seismic programs. So there's the 3.1. Very interesting. And not too many aftershocks afterwards. Just a few tiny popping of the ground, just a little bit, but nothing too major. I actually thought a swarm was approaching when I first saw this, but I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. And of course, here is the 7.4 in Russia. Notice 1711, 1636, so less than an hour. Maybe about half an hour or so after the 3.1, the 7.4 occurred. So we just looked at the 7.4 in Russia, in the coastal seismic station, and on MCID in this one too. And we also saw a 1.1 magnitude earthquake underneath Mount Hood. And we also saw this right here, the 3.1 at Yellowstone, which actually looked pretty strong. And a few people did feel it, but only one person reported feeling it from Idaho. So I don't know. The people obviously did feel this. So who knows? Just a heads up, I am happy they put YNM back up. YNM is back online. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Woohoo. Thank God. Still not seeing any other earthquakes. It's the 3.1 and the 7.4, but that could change at any moment. YNM is back online. Thank God. So that was a pretty interesting increase in activity worldwide today. The 3.1 at Yellowstone occurred just before the 7.4 in Russia, and there was also a magnitude 1.1 earthquake right under the stratocone of Mount Hood. Now, I'm not saying that these are connected, but we haven't seen many magnitude 3 earthquakes at Yellowstone recently, but we have been seeing an increase in magnitude 7 earthquakes worldwide just the past month or so. The magnitude 7.4 in Russia marks the 4th magnitude 7 and above to strike the world in less than a month. If you live in Washington State as I do, then please be prepared, because there are two areas of concern for me as of recently: the Cascadia subduction zone and the Seattle fault line. The last major earthquake we had was the Nisqually earthquake in 2001, but that did not occur on the Seattle fault line. I believe, according to Scott and some other geology people, the last time the Seattle fault line had a major earthquake was about 1,100 years ago, 1,100 years ago. That's a long time. So the Seattle fault is potentially still active, but it hasn't had a major earthquake for over 1,000 years. So I personally believe it is overdue. Now, with all the increase in tectonic and volcanic activity worldwide, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a large earthquake in the not-too-distant future for Washington State. I already have a very clear memory of what a large earthquake feels like here in the Pacific Northwest. The Nisqually earthquake was probably the most memorable moment of my life. Well, except the birth of my children, of course. I remember feeling like I was on a ship on the ocean, and I put my ear to the ground. I could hear rumbling beneath me, and that is a sound and a feeling I will never forget. It was pretty crazy. Remember, guys, please check out my website. I have a lot of goodies on there right now, and you can find a link to it in the description box below, right under my email address. I'm even going to add a bunch of new plots and info from the Kilauea and Lower East Rift Zone eruptions that occurred summer of this year. Also, don't forget to check out Scott's new channel called the NW Geology Guy. Now, guys, the year is almost over. Can you believe it? 2018 went by fast, and 2019 is quickly approaching. That means we only have 1 year left until the start of a new decade. Can you imagine we are almost to 2020? Sounds so futuristic, but not as futuristic as I thought it would be when I was a little kid. Now, I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful Christmas. I will probably be back before the new year, but if I'm not, then Happy New Year's. Hopefully volcanic and tectonic activity calms down in 2019. Have a great Christmas and rest of your day, and remember, the truth is considered hate or fear to those who hate or fear a certain truth. Sadly, that is how a lot of humans are nowadays, guys. So, some people only believe in truth that applies to them, not absolute truth. People try to say there's no such thing as a constant absolute truth. It just seems like it. Well, guess what? There is. It is called math. 2 plus 2 doesn't sometimes equal 4, guys. 2 plus 2 simply always equals 4. That is a constant and an absolute. And if we have absolutes and constants in math, there are surely absolutes and constants in regards to morality. But what is the absolute constant in the universe? The highest absolute constant of truth that binds all other constants and absolutes so they don't fade away? God. That is what I believe. I think God is the end of all truth. It all leads to Him and His Son, Jesus Christ. Remember, the Creator is much smarter than the creation. Humanity is way too egotistical right now to even admit that we could be wrong about something such as radiocarbon dating, God, dinosaurs, galaxies, so on and so forth. But that is a video for another time. I think that overall, I am compelled to tell people what I believe in and see if other people do want to be saved. But if I meet resistance, I'm not going to push it further, guys. God gave us free will for a reason. And if we get mad at someone for not believing what we believe, then we are actually transgressing what God told us to do. That is why you just water the seed, guys. Don't drown it. That is why so many people out there have such a skewed idea of what Jesus Christ, God, and Christianity is all about. It's because of all the false prophets and teachers out there right now making us look bad. I just wish people truly knew how amazing Jesus is. I used to be a hardcore atheistic evolutionist, guys, but I found my way, and I pray you do too. But remember, it is ultimately your choice, and only you can make that choice. Never let anyone force you to do anything or tell you that you have to do it. It's your choice. I hope you all have a great day. God bless, guys. Ben Ferraiuolo signing off.